Colombo, Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka's president, who had announced he would resign Wednesday, has fled the country after months of turmoil culminated in protesters converging on the presidential palace. Here's what's happening in Sri Lanka. The country is hurtling toward bankruptcy. Daily essentials including food and medicine are scarce. Political corruption has deepened mistrust in the government. The double whammy of government and economic instability is further complicating recoverySri Lanka's P. It's been relying on help from neighboring India, China and from the International Monetary Fund. Outgoing Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, who took office in May, was emphasizing the monumental task he faces in turning around an economy he said is heading for rock bottom. Sri Lankans are skipping meals as they endure shortages, lining up for hours to try to buy scarce fuel and cooking gas. It's a harsh reality for a country whose economy had been growing quickly, with a growing and comfortable middle class, until the latest crisis deepened. Here's the situation in Sri Lanka. The government owes $51 billion and is unable to make interest payments on its loans, let alone put a dent in the amount borrowed. Tourism, an important engine of economic growth, has sputtered because of the pandemic and concerns about safety after terror attacks in 2019. And its currency has collapsed by 80%, making imports more expensive and worsening inflation that is already out of control, with food costs rising 57%, according to official data. The Finance Ministry says Sri Lanka has only $25 million in usable foreign reserves. It needs $6 billion to stay afloat over the next 6 months. The result is a country on the edge of bankruptcy, with hardly any money to import gasoline, milk, cooking gas, medicine and even toilet paper. Economists say the crisis stems from domestic factors such as years of mismanagement and corruption. Much of the public's ire has focused on President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and his brother, former Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. The latter resigned after weeks of anti-government protests that eventually turned violent. In April 2021, Rajapaksa suddenly banned imports of chemical fertilizers. The push for organic farming caught farmers by surprise and decimated staple rice crops, driving prices higher. The government needed to boost its revenues as foreign debt for big, and questionable, infrastructure projects soared, but instead Rajapaksa pushed through the largest tax cuts in Sri Lankan history. Creditors downgraded Sri Lanka's ratings, blocking it from borrowing more money as its foreign reserves sank. Tropical Sri Lanka normally is not lacking for food, but people are going hungry.